Hey, Larry here. Acts 29 today, coming to you from Sunny World headquarters in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I'd like to welcome all of the viewers from Thailand and around the world. So today we're going to continue on with the story, and I left you in a very depressed state that I was in, and then I went to volunteer at the Christian school and was helping out there. I met the lady, her husband owned this airplane. Well, it just so happened at this time, this was in, that was probably in June of 1980. And on May 18th of 1980, there was a very violent eruption of Mount St. Helens. And you may remember reading about that or watching it on the news. I was only about 40 miles from my house as the crow flies. So it was very close, and we had ash and stuff all over the roads and on our roofs, and we had to clean all this stuff off and had to wear masks so you weren't breathing this stuff because it was very abrasive, and so it was a real mess. Well, this lady said that her husband had people stopping alongside the freeway there all the time and looking for scenic flights to go up to the mountain. And so he took 2 or 3 people up in his plane one day for a scenic flight, and he got caught in a downdraft. The wind coming over the top of the mountain, he got too close to the side of the mountain. And so he got caught in this downdraft, and he barely got out before he crashed. Well, that scared him so bad that he told his wife, "I'm never flying up that mountain again." But he kept having people stopping all the time and wanting flights. So his wife said that he was looking for a pilot, somebody that could do scenic flights for the mountain. So I went out and talked to him about it. We took a flight in his plane, and I flew around and did some landings and takeoffs and this and that and the other. And I had quite a bit more time actually flying than he did, and so he was somewhat impressed that I could, take care of this and fly that airplane. So he hired me, and that was a miraculous provision, because as we were about to lose all kinds of stuff, car, phone, house hadn't been paid in almost a year, I think, by then. I started flying. He put a big sign out by the freeway. There was a line of people every day lined up for scenic flights. I'd fly 6 to 8 flights a day. I could do a round trip in 1 hour flat from gear up to landing. It took 1 hour. And so I was flying like crazy. And that went on for 9, 10 months. Did it for, about a year. And then it kind of trailed off, and there weren't as many people anymore because everybody had gone up to the mountain by then. So then it was like, well, the interest rates were still high, construction was still, no work. And so what was I going to do now? Well, it just so happened this guy had a couple 2 or 3 semi-trucks, and he also had a trucking business. So I said, "Hey, why don't you teach me how to drive one of these trucks, and I'll do that for a while." Well, he reluctantly agreed, and learning how to drive that semi-truck was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But I did, and he did hire me. And so I then began what would be for about the next 8 years driving truck all over. Basically I went a lot from Portland, Oregon to Los Angeles, taking lumber on a flatbed at that time. And then I hauled tanker trucks, I hauled flour, I hauled sugar, dry vans with everything thinkable in it, pulled all kinds of freight in a lot of different places and all that. So then at one point in time, after I had been driving for, some years, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 years, I had a lot of experience and a lot of miles. I stumbled onto this truck driving school, and they were looking for instructors to teach people how to drive semi-trucks. And so, amazingly enough, I got a job training truck drivers, and this is just a picture of one of the trucks that I drove during my truck driving days. This was 2 trucks there. A friend of mine had the other truck, and we actually went to the same place that day. Then I was at the truck driving school, and so that was kind of an amazing thing. And of course, my my computer doesn't work when you need it to work, right? So anyway, I just had this one picture I wanted to show you when I was at the truck driving school. Sometimes when you enlarge these pictures, they don't enlarge too well. But anyway, that's me in the blue jacket there as an instructor. And those are some of the students. It was IITR Truck Driving School out of Clackamas, Oregon. So I did that for, I don't know, a few years, I guess. It was a while. And that was a very crazy job too, because when you're teaching people how to drive truck, it's not an easy thing to do. And a lot of these people, this was men, women. There was a lady there, she was a grandma. She was probably 63 years old or more. And I had to teach her how to drive that semi-truck. And she didn't have a clue about anything. The first day in the truck, she looked down at the gear shift coming out of the floor, the stick shift, and she said, "What's that?" I said, "Well, that's the stick shift." And she said, "Oh, I've never seen one of those before." I knew it was going to be a long day, but that's what it was. And I learned a lot, about how to deal with people on that particular job. After that, I had gotten another driving job with a company that was just down the street, and I noticed that they had nice trucks and had a warehouse, and so they just hauled freight around the Northwest. And so I ended up going to work for them on my last driving job. And most of the time I was delivering Maruchan noodles. They call it mama here in Thailand. And I was delivering Maruchan noodles to Costco stores from the Canadian border up in Blaine, Washington, all the way down to the southern border of Oregon. And basically that was my deal, was delivering those noodles to all these Costco stores. Well, by By 91, I was separated from my wife now because we had these issues that we couldn't seem to resolve. And I was staying at my parents' house, and we were doing a lot of counseling during those days. And there was one time that I am going to tell you about because it was very unusual, and it was something that really helped change my life. I was encouraged to go see this counselor, right? This semi-famous counselor, and I didn't really like going to counseling, but I said, okay, I'll go see him. Well, the thing was, it was $100 an hour for this counselor, and I'm like, $100? You want me to spend $100 an hour? Maybe I'll go for half an hour and do 50. Oh no, it's an hour. Takes an hour. How about $25? No, it's $100. So I'm like, wow, you gotta be kidding me, $100 for a counseling session. This guy better be spitting out gold bricks when he's talking. So somehow I agreed to go to this counseling for $100. Well, we talked for a while. I talked for a while. He listened. And then when we had about 20 minutes left, he began to lay something out to me that I had never really heard of before. And amazingly enough, this turned out to be the best $100 I had ever spent in my entire life, bar none. I was blown away. And so, I mean, it was the best $100 I've ever spent. But I'm gonna have to wait till the next video to lay it all out for you, because it's going to take a few minutes to go through what he shared with me. But it really had a profound effect on my life, and it, even though it didn't really solve anything as far as the marriage was concerned, you know, it wasn't a silver bullet for the marriage thing, but it was something that really, really, really helped in my own personal life and with my own personal pain that I was suffering from. You know, we've all got some pain in our lives that comes from living life. You know, just day-to-day stuff and relationships and all kinds of things. So anyway, thank you for tuning in and listening. I will catch you on the next video, and we will go into and find out what this $100 an hour counselor had to say that so helped my life at that time. Thanks for tuning in.